And an ominous warning from North Korea. It says the US can decide what Christmas gift it wants amid a lull in denuclearization talks. It's set a year-end deadline for negotiations to resume. Now, for further insight into that story, we're joined by Dr. Sojin Lim, a course leader for a Master's in North Korean Studies from the University of Central Lancashire in the UK. Now, Sojin, repeated threats from North Korea. How serious should the US be treating this latest comments?
It could be in both ways. I do not think that North Korea really wants to have any military actions, judging by the fact that even today, Kim Jong-un announced this utopian, so-called utopian city near to the Baekdu Mountain, which is called where he was born in. And with this kind of new cities and new facilities, he would not want to have destroy of them. Because of that, North Korea will not actually threat any other countries as a military action. But at the same time, it still can continue its missile test, and also it can stop any dialogue which has been quite open recent years. So because of that, U.S. needs to consider a new approach rather than just, telling them false promises and telling them that they want to keep the dialogue without giving them any tangible promises or any other actions.
Right, Sojin, so what do you think will happen next? After all, North Korea has just said, the U.S. can decide what Christmas gift it wants.
The North Korea, Kim Jong-un also knows well that the U.S. is heading to the next presidential election, and also Trump is facing this impeachment process at the U.S. at the moment. Because of that, Kim Jong-un will not be sure if the next president will also greet Kim Jong-un like Trump did. Because of that, Kim Jong-un really needs something concrete before Trump goes away. And that's why North Korea is giving its hardest pressure against the U.S. And now the Kim Jong-un will need to see what he can bring more at its best from the U.S. Trump personally. Otherwise, the North Korea will not have the similar level of the dialogue with the U.S. in the future.
And what do you make of, you talked about sort of the U.S. domestic politics. Does North Korea's own domestic politics also play into the rhetoric that we're hearing?
Yes. If we see what the Kim Jong-un changed, for example, his outfit recently is something new to show his people the new hope. Because up until now, he kept showing his people that he's having dialogue directly with the U.S. president. The supreme leader is great. Kim Jong-un is having a diplomatic power in the world. But what actually people see from the bottom line is that their economic situation is not different from before. They are still suffering from this famine situation. And Kim Jong-un really needs to show something new. And because of that, domestically, Kim Jong-un is also under pressure. And that really needs to bring him economically some changes. And that's why North Korea needs to see the lifting of sanctions in the near future.
Well, you mentioned there a lot about domestic politics. What about the domestic politics of big players, as an example like the U.S. and China? How do they actually play in the progress or lack of progress in the talks?
The U.S. obviously needs having the North Korea as a very good bargaining chip in between for example, the Trump's election. But recently, as we saw, Trump had another very good playground with Hong Kong. He signed on this human rights issue with Hong Kong, and that could work well within the U.S. Domestic affairs. And Kim Jong-un also knows well about that. That's why on the same day, Kim Jong-un had a missile test. And at the same time with China also faces the Hong Kong issue in a domestic way. And because of that, the North Korean issue could be a very good way to distract people's attention. And both the U.S. and China can use North Korea as a very good play chip within the domestic affairs.
All right, thanks for that analysis, Sojin. Dr. Sojin Lim, course leader for Masters in North Korean Studies from the University of Central Lancashire.